For more on this ongoing discontent in France, we'll go to former UK MP George Galloway in London. So, George, just about 30 miles from where you sit, French working people are still upset with their president, even after he has made this age concession to keep retirement at 62. What else are they demanding, and where does it end?
Well, it might as well be 10,000 miles away for all the coverage there is here in Britain on these momentous events in our closest European neighbour. It is quite extraordinary that the only person who ever talks about that is you. And the RT network are the only people who've shown footage of a battle which has now lasted for 60 weeks. 60 weeks, every weekend, and now basically a general strike called by the biggest trade unions in the land, some of them left-wing militant unions, but others moderate centrist unions. The French people are united against the neoliberal fantasies of President Macron. Now, of course, by comparison with Germany, with Britain, still more, I suspect, with the United States, French workers have got a better deal. But the French workers are not keen to give that deal up. They have a level of benefits, including pension benefits, which they have won through industrial trade union struggle over many decades. And this is all about, as I've said to you many times, it's not just the proximate reason is pensions, but the neoliberal agenda of President Macron to turn France into an ultra neoliberal economy is being resisted by the French people. And that's why they don't show any coverage here, because it might be catching.
Now, George, I have got to play devil's advocate here because Macron has argued that these changes are necessary as life expectancy has increased. The French population has grown dramatically since World War II. And he also referenced Germany as an example. The Germans have upped their retirement age to 67 now. Doesn't he bring up some fair points here? And we didn't see the same outcry from the Germans over essentially the same changes to their system.
Well, that's because the Germans, like the British, are more docile. They go more quietly into this kind of good night. The French people ought to be commended, and anyone who knows their history knows that they don't go quietly into anybody's good night. And the plain facts are, France is an extremely rich country. If France, or any country, was on its heels, if it was a national bankruptcy case here, then there might be an argument for load sharing, for sharing the load of an economic crisis. But France is fantastically rich and has an elite which is amongst the richest on the face of the earth. And Macron has somehow come to embody that, sitting on his metaphorical golden throne in the Palace of Versailles. That's how he looks to the mass of the French people. He thought that they were a pushover. He thought he could implement these so-called reforms, which are actually, let's be blunt, a diminution in the life of the mass of the people. Reforms used to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Now they're a synonym for a bad thing. And he hasn't gotten away with it. So from my point of view, the French workers have already won significant concessions, but they're not going away until this whole neoliberal project is scrapped by President Macron. Otherwise, the French will scrap him.
But, George, the argument can further continue here is that this is the new reality that not only people in Europe, but here in America, too, we all face the same problems. We're moving into, or actually we're already living in a post-industrial era. Automation has taken over a lot of these labor jobs that the people are protesting. There is a generation of people who are not skilled or trained for this new economy that we live in. Shouldn't some of the focus be paid to new training and education?
Well, no doubt. And in the brave new world of automation and artificial intelligence and so on, profits are not going to fall, they're going to rise. And what the French working class are saying, if we have to work less, if we have to share more, then why are you asking us to continue at work for longer? Why are you saying that we must go further into old age while still at our jobs? We should use this brave new world to allow a situation where people work for fewer years, maybe fewer days, and fewer hours per week, and we share fairly the fruits of the profits that are made by the newly automated and artificial intelligence fueled profitability. I've never heard an argument that says we're going to get computers to do your job, but we're going to allow you to relax, to train, to educate yourselves, to spend more time with your children and grandchildren, and you will not suffer a loss in your standard of life. If somebody came up with that schema for the future, there'd be plenty of takers for it. One thing's for sure, the French masses are not going to pay the price for economic change while the French elite continue to roll around with their champagne and caviar.
All right, we will leave it right there. As always, appreciate your expertise and insight on these areas. George Galloway, thank you.